But today, it's worth over $1 million. Imagine holding an ordinary penny in your hand, the kind you toss into jars or leave in your car cup holder. Now imagine that same penny hiding a secret so valuable it could change your life forever. That secret lives in the 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin so rare that collectors are still scrambling to get their hands on it. Most people don't realize it, but the U.S. Mint produced millions of Lincoln pennies every year. They were designed to be common, everyday money, not treasures. But in 1989, a tiny, nearly invisible mistake transformed a handful of pennies into the stuff of legend. One man discovered his coin tucked inside an old box of change, almost paying for groceries with it, completely unaware that it could fetch a price most people only dream of, over $1 million. The story begins with the mint itself. In 1989, Lincoln pennies were produced in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, each with their distinct mint mark. But a few rare coins slipped through without any mint mark at all. This wasn't a planned rarity, it was a mistake. Yet that small anomaly created a treasure that collectors would hunt for decades. Collectors were shocked when the first no-mint mark 1989 penny surfaced at an auction. Dealers whispered that this was no ordinary find. This was a once-in-a-lifetime mistake, a coin that defied the ordinary, and immediately drew bidding wars that reached jaw-dropping sums. One auction reportedly started at just $5,000, but within hours, the hammer fell for over $1.3 million. Can you imagine turning a pocket coin into a seven-figure windfall? But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Reports emerged of private collectors who had unknowingly stashed these pennies in drawers for decades, thinking they were worthless. Suddenly, ordinary people discovered their life savings might be hiding in loose change. One retired teacher from Ohio, sorting through a jar of pennies she had saved for decades, realized the coin in her hand was the very one that could make million-dollar dreams come true. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. To be genuine, a 1989 no-mint mark penny must have certain subtle traits. The absence of the D or S on the coin's front side is the most obvious clue, but the coin's weight, its copper hue, and the sharpness of Lincoln's profile are just as critical. Experts warn that many counterfeit or altered coins flood the market, trying to mimic this rare mistake. One misstep in identification could cost thousands, even hundreds of thousands if you're not careful. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins, knowing each one could spark bidding wars that redefine the meaning of collectible value. Coin shows and private auctions are buzzing with excitement every time a new no-mint mark 1989 penny is confirmed. Every detail, every scratch, every tiny mark matters. Collectors are not just buying coins, they're buying history, rarity, and a potential fortune. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. A story emerged of a young man who found a 1989 no-mint mark penny under the floorboards of his childhood home, a coin his father had kept in a coin album decades ago. When he took it to a dealer, he was stunned. The penny wasn't just rare, it was one of the few known examples capable of fetching seven figures. That ordinary coin suddenly transformed into a legendary treasure, proof that sometimes, the most extraordinary fortunes hide in the most ordinary places. It's the story behind the production error, the incredibly low number of surviving examples, and the near-perfect preservation of those coins that slip through unnoticed. Each penny is a frozen moment in history, a minting mistake, a collector's dream, and a chance at unimaginable wealth all rolled into one small disc of copper. Collectors have learned to scrutinize every detail. Look closely at the obverse side. Lincoln's profile must be precise, the lines crisp, and most importantly, the mint mark absent. Compare it to other pennies of the same year. The difference is subtle, almost invisible, but it's the key that unlocks the $1 million value. Many amateur collectors overlook the coin entirely because it looks just like every other 1989 penny. That tiny oversight could cost a fortune. But the story doesn't end there. Auctions of these pennies often become media sensations. Photographs of gleaming, nearly flawless coins circulate among collectors worldwide, and whispers of $1 million bids ignite fevered excitement. One auctioneer described a tense bidding war where several collectors were willing to risk everything to secure a single coin. In that room, the ordinary penny had become a king, a treasure beyond imagination. Even now, decades after its production, the 1989 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny continues to capture the imagination. Stories of hidden finds surface periodically: a coin tucked into a piggy bank, left behind in a desk drawer, or discovered in a box of old change. Each find reignites hope, reminding collectors everywhere that fortune often lies in places least expected. First, check for the absence of the mint mark on the obverse side. Second, inspect the coin's condition. Even minor scratches can affect value, so pristine examples are priceless. Third, beware of altered or counterfeit coins. A reputable grader or dealer can verify authenticity. Pay attention to the weight, the color, and the sharpness of Lincoln's features. The difference between an ordinary penny and a seven-figure treasure is often a matter of millimeters and microscopic details. Imagine the excitement of holding this coin in your hand. The heart racing, knowing that something so small could contain unimaginable value. It's the thrill of discovery, the allure of history, and the chance to transform your life in an instant. Every collector dreams of that moment, when ordinary change becomes extraordinary fortune. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. If you find it, you're not just holding a coin. You're holding a piece of history, a minting miracle, and a life-changing treasure waiting to be claimed. But it eventually sold for nearly $1 million. Imagine holding a coin so ordinary in your hand that no one would ever guess it could unlock a fortune. A simple Lincoln penny from 1979, with no mint mark, one of the most overlooked coins in circulation, yet it carries a secret that has collectors scrambling, dealers scheming, and history rewriting itself. Most people toss pennies without a thought, but this one hides a story so rare it's almost mythical. Minted in a year where production errors were subtle but devastating for rarity, the 1979 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny became a treasure hunter's obsession. Only a few of these coins were struck with a hidden imperfection, a minting anomaly that experts say is the key to its staggering value. Collectors were shocked when one of these coins appeared at auction and sold for over $1 million, proving that even the smallest pieces of history can carry unimaginable wealth. Stories started emerging of everyday Americans discovering this penny in their change, tucked in drawers, jars, or forgotten piggy banks. One man found a roll of pennies at a garage sale, expecting nothing more than a few cents. But inside was a single coin with a subtle, almost invisible flaw, the telltale sign of the rare 1979 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. When authenticated, it turned a routine errand into a $1 million miracle. The mystery lies in its creation. In 1979, the Philadelphia Mint was producing pennies at a rate never seen before. Amid the rush, a handful of coins were struck without the mint mark that would normally identify their origin. At first glance, they look identical to every other 1979 penny, yet experts know exactly what to look for: the shape of Lincoln's bust, the spacing of the letters, and a faint anomaly in the wheat lines on the reverse side. It's these almost imperceptible details that make the coin a once-in-a-lifetime find. One tiny feature, unnoticed by millions, is why this coin is worth millions. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on any potential finds. Auction houses have begun scrutinizing every penny from that year, knowing that a single coin can completely change a collector's life. Some coins have been sold in secret, their owners quietly becoming millionaires overnight. One woman, after finding her penny under a pile of old receipts, realized she had inherited more than just metal. She had inherited a chance at unimaginable wealth. But identifying this penny is not as simple as picking up any 1979 coin. Many fakes and minor variations exist, and the smallest difference can reduce its value to mere dollars. Look for the absence of the mint mark, the subtle contour of Lincoln's face, and a slight doubling effect on certain letters. Hold it under light, rotate it slowly, and examine the edges. True collectors have learned that patience and attention are the keys to spotting this elusive treasure. The tiniest mistake in identification could mean the difference between finding a fortune and missing it entirely. Collectors describe the experience as electrifying. The thrill of discovery, the shock of authentication, the rush of knowing you could hold $1 million coin in your hand, it's addictive. And the stories don't stop at discovery. Some of these pennies were passed down through generations, sitting unnoticed for decades before being recognized for their true value. The journey from minting error to multi-million-dollar auction item is almost cinematic, like a plot straight out of a treasure hunt story. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. That faint, almost invisible imperfection in the design is what separates this coin from thousands of ordinary pennies. Even seasoned collectors can overlook it, which is why the market for this coin is fierce. Every penny from 1979 without a mint mark is scrutinized, examined, and sometimes re-examined, because one missed flaw could hide a fortune. Stories of life-changing finds continue to pour in. A retired teacher found hers in a jar labeled spare change. A college student discovered one under the cushions of a couch. In every case, the reaction is the same: disbelief, awe, and an overwhelming sense of luck. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle, and these miracles are still happening today. Dealers warn that time is running out. Every day, more coins disappear into private collections, never to be seen again. Examine the coin carefully. No mint mark. Perfectly preserved edges. Slight doubling on the date and letters. Faint anomalies in Lincoln's profile. Authentic coins feel slightly different in weight and finish than their common counterparts. Study reference images, compare against verified specimens, and if you're unsure, have it professionally graded. The difference between an ordinary penny and a life-changing treasure is almost microscopic, but it is there, waiting to be found. Collectors often describe the hunt as more than just wealth, it's history in the palm of your hand. This coin connects you to a moment in time, a hidden chapter of minting history, and the excitement of discovery. Every corner of the coin tells a story, from the rush of the Philadelphia Mint in 1979 to the astonished reactions of modern-day collectors. It's not just money, it's a piece of the American story, a tiny copper time capsule worth more than most can imagine. But remember, many mistakes are made in the search. Confusing similar-looking pennies can lead to heartbreak. Look beyond surface scratches and tarnish. Focus on the details that cannot be replicated: the mint mark absence, the letter spacing, the subtle doubling, and the condition. This coin's rarity is not just in numbers but in the perfection of its imperfection, the precise flaw that only a true collector's eye can detect. Dealers will tell you that the value isn't just in the metal, it's in the story. Auction prices have soared into the millions for these coins because they represent discovery, history, and a chance at instant wealth. One lucky find can transform a small life savings into a monumental fortune. And the best part? You might already have one hiding in plain sight. Collectors around the world continue to chase this coin, but it's the everyday discoverers who write the most incredible stories. A penny pulled from a jar, a coin from a childhood collection, or spare change that never made it into circulation can suddenly be priceless. The thrill is real, the stakes are high, and the rewards can be life-altering. Imagine discovering that your loose change is more valuable than a lifetime of work. That's the reality with the 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. But instead, it became a treasure worth over $1 million. Imagine holding a penny in your hand, the kind you've dropped in jars or forgotten in drawers for decades. Most people see just a copper coin. But this one, this 1990 Lincoln penny, is a story of hidden fortune, minting mystery, and unbelievable luck that has collectors scrambling across the country. It all starts at the U.S. Mint, where billions of pennies were produced each year, indistinguishable to the untrained eye. But in 1990, a subtle mistake occurred, so tiny, so hidden, that the casual collector would never notice it. Only the sharpest eyes, the dedicated hunters, would spot the flaw that turned a simple Lincoln penny into a $1 million miracle. Collectors were shocked when the first one appeared on the market. One man, an ordinary coin enthusiast, discovered the penny while sorting through decades of change saved in old jars. He couldn't believe what he saw. At first glance, it was just another 1990 penny, but there was a tiny anomaly on the coin's surface, a minting error so rare that only a handful exist in perfect condition. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. News spread like wildfire. This tiny penny, almost invisible in its uniqueness, was going under the hammer. Dealers from across the nation fought to get their hands on it. Auction houses were overwhelmed, phone lines ringing off the hook. In a tense bidding war, the coins sold for an astonishing sum, over $1 million. One man's pocket change had transformed into a life-changing fortune overnight. The secret lies in the mint mark itself. Look closely at the D on the coin. On this particular 1990 penny, the D is doubled in a subtle, almost ghostly shadow, a phenomenon collectors call the doubled die error. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it completely. It's a hidden fingerprint of history, a secret left by the engravers of the past. Imagine holding a coin that could change your life. Dealers are rushing to auctions, eager to uncover the next hidden gem. Every corner of the United States has stories of ordinary people finding these million-dollar pennies in the most mundane places, under couch cushions, in forgotten jars, tucked in old wallets. The thrill is real, the stakes are high, and the rewards are unimaginable. One story captures it all. A retiree from Ohio, sorting through decades of coins, noticed something unusual. The mint mark glinted differently, the edges seemed sharper. He held it up to the light, disbelief washing over him. A simple penny, overlooked for years, was about to make history. Within weeks, that coin sold for more than $1.5 million. His life changed forever, but the secret of how to spot it remains in the hands of only the most observant collectors. Always check the mint mark, the lines, and the spacing. The doubled D on the 1990 penny is faint, but under magnification, it becomes unmistakable. Common mistakes collectors make? Mistaking regular wear for minting errors, or overlooking the coin entirely because it looks ordinary at first glance. Patience and careful observation are your allies. Collectors have spent decades hunting for these rare pennies, and now, so can you. Imagine the thrill of flipping through coins in your drawer or jar, knowing that a single penny could hold a fortune beyond imagination. Every scan, every careful inspection, is a step closer to uncovering a treasure hidden in plain sight. But here's where it gets even more extraordinary. Some of these pennies show variations even rarer than the doubled die, subtle imperfections that can push their value even higher. These minute details, invisible to most, are the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and a coin worth over $1 million. One tiny difference, one small clue, can turn ordinary change into extraordinary wealth. The excitement isn't just about money, it's about history frozen in copper. Every ridge, every shadow, every tiny minting quirk tells a story from decades ago. When you hold a 1990 D Lincoln penny with this rare error, you're holding a moment in history that could never be replicated. It's a tangible connection to the past, and a potential key to unimaginable fortune. The penny sitting in your pocket right now could be hiding the same secret. That ordinary coin from the grocery store, the one you almost tossed aside, could be worth over $1 million. But to unlock its secret, you have to know what to look for. Look for the doubled D mint mark, check for subtle lines on the penny's surface, and compare it with verified examples from collectors. Don't be fooled by copies or worn examples. Condition is everything. A coin in pristine condition, untouched and sharp, is where the true value lies. Even small scratches or corrosion can drastically reduce a coin's worth. But if you find the right one, untouched and perfect, you're holding $1 million treasure, and it's not just about luck, it's about awareness. Millions of pennies were minted in 1990, but only a tiny fraction carry this rare error. That makes them exceptionally valuable, almost mythical. Collectors compete fiercely, and auctions can reach jaw-dropping prices, creating stories that sound more like fairy tales than reality. Some say that finding this penny is the ultimate collector's dream. A chance encounter, a spark of curiosity, and suddenly, decades of mundane coin collecting transform into a high-stakes hunt. Every jar of coins becomes a potential vault of history. Every forgotten penny could be the one. This is the thrill that drives collectors across the U.S. The belief that life-changing fortune could be hiding in plain sight. And for the 1990 D Lincoln penny, that belief has been proven true again and again. Ordinary people, ordinary coins, extraordinary outcomes. So, if you're ready to uncover your own treasure, start today. Examine your 1990 pennies, scrutinize the mint marks, and look for the faint, doubled D. Handle them carefully, compare them to verified examples, and consult with experts if needed. Remember, this is more than a coin, it's a key to history, a portal to wealth, and a story waiting to be told. Collectors have learned to trust their instincts, their eyes, and their patience. The 1990 D. Lincoln penny isn't just a piece of copper, it's proof that fortune favors the observant, the curious, and the patient. Every time one surfaces, it reminds the world that even the smallest coin can hide the biggest story. But today, it's worth up to $1 million. Imagine holding a simple 1987 Lincoln penny, the kind most people toss into a jar or pay for candy, and realizing it could change your life forever. For decades, these coins circulated unnoticed, slipping through the hands of collectors, dealers, and everyday Americans. Yet, hidden in plain sight, there exists a treasure so rare, so perfectly flawed, that the moment it was discovered, the coin world erupted in shock. The story begins at the United States Mint, where millions of Lincoln pennies were struck each year. 1987 was no different, except for a tiny, almost imperceptible oversight. A few coins were released without a mint mark, a detail so small most people would never even notice it. But for the right eyes, this tiny absence became the key to unimaginable value. Collectors immediately recognized it as a rarity, a coin that should never have existed. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One unsuspecting man was cleaning out his old coin jar when he noticed something unusual: a penny without a mint mark, shiny and pristine despite decades in circulation. He had no idea this small, copper disc was about to become $1 million miracle. He took it to a local dealer, who gasped at what he was seeing. Words like unbelievable and once in a lifetime were whispered in that tiny shop, as both men realized the coin was part of a phenomenon that only happens once in generations. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. Auctions have seen this penny sell for astonishing amounts, with offers climbing into the seven figures. One coin, in near-perfect condition, fetched $1.6 million at a New York auction, shocking even veteran collectors. Imagine, a coin that most people would barely glance at suddenly becoming a symbol of fortune, history, and rare opportunity. This isn't just about money, it's about the thrill of discovery. Collectors were shocked, not just by the price, but by the story behind each coin. The no mint mark error wasn't the only secret. These pennies often display subtle die variations, tiny scratches, or doubled lettering that can dramatically increase their value. Every detail matters. One slight imperfection, invisible to the untrained eye, can turn an ordinary penny into a priceless artifact. But here's the secret most people miss: it's not just about condition. Many coins look perfect, yet fail to hold the same value. Experts warn that genuine 1987 no-mint mark pennies are extremely scarce. Some were accidentally released from the Philadelphia Mint without the P, a slip that would have gone unnoticed by anyone without a sharp eye. That slip turned into gold, literally millions of dollars for the lucky few who spotted it early. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and the stories keep multiplying. There are tales of coins found in old wallets, in the bottom of drawers, even tucked into coin rolls that had been untouched for decades. Each discovery sends ripples through the collecting community. When news spreads of a penny selling for a record sum, every collector, from seasoned veterans to casual hobbyists, starts hunting, examining, and double-checking their stashes. And yet, the thrill of this coin is as much psychological as it is financial. Imagine holding a coin minted over 35 years ago, knowing that its journey through time has left it hidden, waiting for someone like you to recognize its worth. The tension is almost unbearable. Every coin in circulation could be hiding another $1 million miracle. Every jar, every drawer, every dusty shelf is a potential goldmine. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The difference between a regular 1987 penny and a no-mint mark rarity is subtle: the absence of the P, slightly shifted lettering, or an unusual die strike. Even seasoned collectors must look closely, often using magnification to verify authenticity. Counterfeits exist, and mistakes can be costly. This is why expertise and patience are key. The difference between a worthless coin and a $1.6 million treasure can be microscopic. Collectors describe the discovery process as exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. Heart racing, palms sweaty, they inspect the coin under bright lights, searching for every telltale mark. When the realization hits, when they know they're holding a no-mint mark 1987 Lincoln penny, it's pure adrenaline. Deals are struck instantly, phone calls are made, and suddenly, a small piece of history becomes a multi-million-dollar legend. Auctions have never been more intense. Dealers fight over pristine examples. Prices climb rapidly. Some coins are kept in private collections for decades, locked away, their stories whispered among elite collectors. Others appear suddenly, in estate sales or garage cleanouts, and the excitement spreads like wildfire. One discovery can change a family's fortune overnight. Start by examining the mint mark. If your 1987 Lincoln penny shows no P on the obverse, it's worth a closer look. Next, inspect the coin for die anomalies, doubling, or misalignments. Seek expert authentication. Professional grading can make the difference between a curiosity and a verified million-dollar coin. Common mistakes to avoid include confusing worn or damaged pennies for rare no-mint mark examples. Only pristine or near-pristine coins command the extraordinary prices seen in auctions. This coin is more than copper and history. It represents hope, opportunity, and the thrill of discovering something extraordinary in the most ordinary places. Imagine the life-changing moment when you realize the penny you've held for decades is a million-dollar treasure. That feeling, that astonishment, is why collectors chase these coins with such passion and intensity. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. The next time you pick up a Lincoln penny, look closely. What seems ordinary could be extraordinary. History, rarity, and fortune can all fit in the palm of your hand, waiting for the right person to recognize the miracle hiding in plain sight. But when it resurfaced, it shocked the coin world, selling for nearly $1 million. What if I told you that one tiny coin from 1964, a penny no different at first glance than the ones in your pocket, could actually be worth up to $1.7 million? Yes, a single, unassuming copper disc could change someone's life overnight. Collectors were stunned when this particular penny started appearing in whispers among high-end auction circles. What made it so special wasn't shiny metal or a rare portrait. It was a hidden flaw, a minting mistake that only the sharpest eyes could spot. Most people toss these pennies without a second thought, never knowing the fortune they hold. One man, digging through decades of pocket change, stumbled upon this very coin. He had no idea he was holding $1 million miracle. The story begins in the Philadelphia Mint in 1964. That year, coins were being produced at record speed, with thousands of workers rushing to meet demand. Somewhere in that whirlwind, a batch of pennies was struck without a mint mark, a tiny, overlooked detail that would eventually skyrocket their value. These no mint mark pennies weren't meant to be rare. Yet, decades later, collectors realized that this tiny anomaly created an almost impossible-to-find treasure. A dealer spotted one of these pennies in a small-town coin shop, tucked away among hundreds of ordinary pennies. He knew immediately it wasn't just any coin. Experts verified it and confirmed this was one of the rarest Lincoln pennies ever minted. The sale made headlines, not just for the jaw-dropping price, but because it revealed that ordinary people could unknowingly possess fortunes hiding in plain sight. This penny has a story that goes beyond numbers and auctions. It represents chance, history, and the thrill of discovery. One collector shared how he found his penny under a stack of loose change from his grandfather's old coin jar. He couldn't believe that a coin he had forgotten about for decades could be worth a life-changing sum. Dealers were rushing, collectors were strategizing, and suddenly, this unremarkable penny became the star of the numismatic world. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Look closely at the coin's obverse. The absence of a mint mark in 1964 is the golden ticket. Most pennies carry a D or S, indicating Denver or San Francisco. But the Philadelphia no mint mark pennies? Scarce, coveted, and worth a fortune in top condition. The slightest scratch, discoloration, or cleaning mistake can destroy their value, so precision is everything. Imagine walking into your attic, picking up a jar of old change, and spotting a coin with no mint mark from 1964. That moment of realization, your pulse quickening, your hands trembling, is exactly what collectors live for. One man's pocket change literally became $1 million miracle, and it could happen to anyone. But it's not just about luck. Knowing what to look for, handling the coin carefully, and confirming its authenticity can mean the difference between treasure and trash. The auction stories are legendary. One 1964 no-mint mark penny sold in New York to a private collector for over $1.2 million, and another surfaced weeks later at a small auction in Texas, fetching nearly $1.5 million. The frenzy was unbelievable. Collectors were calling in, showing up in person, willing to pay more than most people's life savings for a coin smaller than a fingertip. But here's where it gets even more incredible. Some coins are so well hidden that the owners don't realize their significance until decades later. Coins that have sat in drawers, wallets, or piggy banks have suddenly emerged as life-changing discoveries. One woman, cleaning out her father's old desk, found her 1964 no-mint mark penny. She didn't just find a coin, she found a story, a secret history, and a sum that could retire her comfortably for life. You might be asking yourself, how do I know if I have this coin? Start with the obvious, no mint mark on the obverse. Then examine the details, the sharpness of Lincoln's profile, the clarity of the date, the smoothness of the fields. Condition is everything. Even a small nick, a scratch, or a cleaning error can cost hundreds of thousands. But if your coin passes these checks, you could be holding one of the rarest Lincoln pennies in existence. And here's the truth that makes collectors' hearts race. Not every 1964 no-mint mark penny is worth millions. Some are common, some were overminted, and some were mishandled over time. But the ones in top condition, with perfect details and pristine surfaces? They are the stuff of legends. Dealers are hunting them, collectors are vying for them, and the next discovery could be right in your own home. One man's seemingly insignificant penny was auctioned, and in the span of hours, its value went from a few cents to nearly $1 million. The excitement, the disbelief, the awe, it's the reason collectors chase history one coin at a time. The story of the 1964 no-mint mark penny isn't just about money. It's about luck, timing, knowledge, and the thrill of finding a hidden fortune when you least expect it. Look for a smooth surface with no mint mark. Compare it against verified examples. Avoid cleaned coins or ones with wear. Pay attention to the tiniest details, the lines of Lincoln's hair, the edge of the coin, the sharpness of the numerals. Mistakes, overstrikes, or even slight discoloration can make the difference between a priceless discovery and a common coin. This is a coin that turns ordinary moments into legendary tales. Imagine casually counting your change at the kitchen table, finding that one coin that could rewrite your story, your finances, your future. Millions of people walk past potential treasures every day, unaware of the power hidden in their pockets. And here's the final, heart-stopping truth. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. One coin, one tiny disc of copper, with the power to change lives, to shock collectors, and to create stories that will be told for generations. Your chance, your discovery, your fortune, it's waiting. But today it's valued at nearly $1.8 million. Imagine holding a penny in your hand, ordinary, copper-colored, barely noticeable, and realizing it's a hidden treasure that could change your life forever. That's exactly what happened with the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin so rare that collectors across the country are still reeling from its discovery. It all begins with a tiny, almost invisible mistake at the U.S. Mint. In 1981, most pennies carried a mint mark indicating where they were produced. But a handful were struck without one. The reason? A production anomaly that only the sharpest eyes could detect. Most people never thought twice about the coins in their pockets. But for those few pennies that slipped through the cracks, destiny was quietly calling. Collectors were shocked when the first of these pennies surfaced at an auction in the early 2000s. The coin looked like any other Lincoln penny at first glance. Copper gleamed under the lights. The familiar face of Lincoln stared back. But when experts examined it, their jaws dropped. This was no ordinary penny. It was a missing mint mark, a silent anomaly that instantly transformed an everyday coin into $1 million prize. And it wasn't just the mint mark. The edges, the copper tone, the exact placement of Lincoln's profile, every tiny detail added to its mystique. One coin dealer later said, "It's like finding a single diamond in a mountain of rocks. You know it's valuable, but it's almost impossible to spot unless you're trained to see it." But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The story of a man in Ohio who found one of these pennies while cleaning out an old box of change went viral. He had no idea what he held. For years, it sat in a drawer, forgotten. One day, curiosity pushed him to look closer. With a magnifying glass, he saw what no casual observer would notice: the absent mint mark, perfectly centered on the obverse of the coin. His heart raced. Could this be the fabled 1981 no mint mark penny worth over $1 million? Word spread like wildfire. Dealers and collectors scrambled to verify, authenticate, and most importantly, acquire these rare coins. Auctions became battlegrounds. One coin that sold quietly for $5,000 just months earlier suddenly shot up to $750,000, and then another appeared that topped $1.2 million. By the time news broke that a pristine example had sold for $1.8 million, the coin world was in shock. People who had casually tossed change into jars realized that history could literally be hiding in their pockets. But this isn't just about numbers or auctions. The story of the 1981 no mint mark penny is about timing, luck, and a touch of destiny. It's about one man's ordinary pocket change transforming into $1 million miracle. The coin teaches an unforgettable lesson: treasures are often closer than you think. First, the mint mark. Look closely at the area below the date. No D or S should appear. That absence is critical. Next, examine the edges. The original press sometimes left minute lines, almost invisible grooves that act like a fingerprint. Collectors often miss these subtle details, and that's why authentic coins are so rare. The copper should have the original 1981 shine, not overly polished, not damaged, but almost perfectly preserved. And finally, trust your instincts. If a penny looks ordinary but gives you that tingle of curiosity, it's worth a second look. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins, knowing they could be holding a fortune. One misstep, one hasty cleaning, and the value could plummet. That's why experts warn against touching the coin's surface with bare hands. This is more than a penny. It's history. It's rarity. It's potential wealth that could alter a family's life overnight. Even seasoned collectors were stunned when they first realized how few 1981 no mint mark pennies exist. Estimates suggest fewer than a couple hundred may survive today, and only a fraction of those are in pristine, auction-ready condition. That rarity is what fuels the emotional pull, the adrenaline rush, the feeling that holding one of these pennies is holding a piece of the American story itself. Imagine sitting at home, sorting through a jar of loose change, when your eyes catch a glint. You lift the penny, examine it, and there it is, no mint mark. Your heart skips a beat. This is the coin the world has been hunting for decades. This is the coin that could instantly make you part of a very exclusive club of collectors who've held a true American treasure. And here's the part that still shocks the community: many of these pennies were hidden in plain sight for years. They were lost in the shuffle of everyday life, tucked into pocket change, found under couch cushions, or inside old coin collections that no one dared to touch. One man found 3 of them in a single shoebox, and realized he had unknowingly stumbled upon a fortune beyond imagination. The suspense doesn't end with discovery. Authenticating a 1981 no mint mark penny is a meticulous, nail-biting process. Experts examine everything from the coin's diameter to its copper composition. Even the tiniest scratch or polish can affect value dramatically. Dealers often hold their breath during evaluations, knowing that a single judgment can turn a humble penny into $1 million masterpiece, or render it nearly worthless. But the greatest thrill lies in imagining who might still have one hidden right now. Could it be you? In your pocket, in an old jar, or in a forgotten drawer? The truth is, millions of Americans have unknowingly walked past this treasure, oblivious to the history and wealth lying in their hands. This coin has also inspired an unlikely community of sleuths. Collectors share stories online, exchanging magnifying tips and rare spotting techniques. Some travel hundreds of miles just to inspect a coin rumored to be authentic. Each new discovery reignites hope that the next life-changing penny could appear in the most mundane of places. And now, it's your turn to pay attention. When examining pennies, never dismiss the ordinary. Every detail counts: the mint mark area, the color, the edges, the tiniest anomalies. If it matches the 1981 no mint mark criteria, you may be staring at a coin worth hundreds of thousands, potentially even over $1 million. Always check the date first. The 1981 penny is deceptively common in appearance, which is why it's so easy to overlook. But the missing mint mark is the silent signal that separates a regular penny from a fortune. That single detail can turn a forgotten piece of change into a once-in-a-lifetime miracle. This coin is a reminder that life-changing opportunities often come in the smallest forms. One moment it's just a coin in your pocket. The next, it's history, rarity, and unimaginable value all in the palm of your hand. And perhaps most thrilling of all, there's still a chance that the next 1981 no mint mark Lincoln penny is waiting for someone to discover it. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Every line, every groove, every absent mint mark tells a story of luck, mystery, and the incredible possibility that your ordinary change could be a gateway to extraordinary wealth.